I'm now joined by Natsumi Akita, Senior Executive Officer of Mizuho Bank. Mizuho is one of Japan's most valuable banks with a brand value of over $4 billion, placing it in the top 15 of BrandZ's most valuable Japanese brands. Natsumi, thanks so much for joining us today. As you know, this year sees the 20th edition of Kantar BrandZ's Most Valuable Global Brands, which first launched way back in 2006. Clearly, the world and the marketing industry have changed a huge amount in that time. As someone who's been involved in marketing over that period, I'd love to ask you about what you've learned so far and how you think the industry will continue to develop. Let's start with some questions about your own career journey to date. Please could you briefly describe your own career path over the last 20 years, which led to your current position?
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be here today. First of all, congratulations on the 20th edition of Kantar BrandZ's Most Valuable Brands. It's a remarkable milestone and a testament to the important role branding plays in driving long-term value. Well, I joined Mizuho about 3 years ago and currently serve as the Group Chief Culture Officer, working to improve the corporate culture, and Group Chief Branding Officer, focusing on enhancing the overall brand of Mizuho Group. In Japan, it has traditionally been common for people to spend over 30 years at the same company, from graduation until retirement. In that context, I believe my career path is quite unique. After graduating from the University of Tokyo, I joined a major Japanese bank, although not Mizuho. Later, I studied at the Kellogg School of Management, and my focus on marketing became a major turning point in my career. I gained experience as a marketer specialized in the financial sector, working at various Japanese, American, and British financial institutions, including Citibank, HSBC, RBS, and MasterCard. Building on marketing experience, I then made the decision to join Adobe, stepping into, for me, the unfamiliar IT industry to take on new marketing challenges. I spent over 5 years at Adobe, leading and growing the Japanese business. I then joined Mizuho, a global financial institution with deep roots in Japan, as the Chief People Officer. While I won't go into too much detail here, I strongly believe that the marketer's approach has become increasingly important in the HR domain as well. The reason is that while marketers have long focused on improving customer experience, many companies are now struggling to enhance employee experience before they can even begin to improve customer experience. And that, in fact, is an area where marketers really excel. My long experience as a marketer has been extremely valuable in my current roles as Group Chief Culture Officer and Group Chief Branding Officer. Both roles require a deep understanding of people, what they value, what inspires them, and how to build strong emotional connections. These are all things I learned through years of working in marketing.
And what's the most significant lesson you've learned about building great brands over your career so far?
One of the most significant lessons I have learned about building great brands is the importance of trust, consistency, and authenticity. A strong brand is not built overnight. It's a result of many small, thoughtful actions that align with a clear purpose. In the financial industry especially, building trust is essential. You must deliver on your promises, listen to your customers and clients, and evolve with their needs without losing sight of who you are and what you should do. No matter how compelling your message or how beautiful your advertising is, If your employees don't genuinely love the brand and don't believe in the products or services you offer, it can seem fake. A brand without internal conviction is ultimately just an empty promise. That's why I believe one of the most important tasks in brand building is to ignite passion within your organization. When employees feel proud of the company they work for and become true fans of its products and services, that energy naturally reaches our customers, your customers. A strong brand grows from the inside out. And when the people inside the company believe in it and follow the purpose, that's when it becomes truly powerful.
And what do you think have been the biggest shifts over the last 2 decades in both consumer needs and the ways brands engage consumers?
Over the last 2 decades, consumer needs have become more segmented, and consumers' interaction with brands have become increasingly digital and personalized. In the financial sector, customer touchpoints have significantly shifted from physical branches to digital channels. However, this is not a simple channel shift. Basic transactions tend to be handled digitally, whereas those requiring more in-depth support are handled in person. Therefore, optimizing individual channels alone will not satisfy customers. It is essential to provide a consistent experience across all channels. From the perspective of customer experience, unlike in the past when comparisons were confined within the industry, now customer experience is compared across various industries. As a result, competition between brands has intensified beyond industry boundaries.
And how would you say the role of insights has changed over this period?
In the past, we gained insights by looking at segments through quantitative and qualitative research. But now, by analyzing a wide range of various behavioral data, we can understand consumers on an individual level, giving us a much more detailed view of their lives. On the other hand, because we can see the whole picture, and often too much of it, there is a risk of losing sight of the true nature of the situation. Therefore, it is important to realize that deep understanding at the individual level can hold valuable clues to unlocking business opportunities.
And thinking specifically about the role of the CMO, how would you say that's changed over the last 2 decades? How do you see it continuing to evolve in the future?
Yeah, I believe the role of CMOs and CBOs has changed significantly over the past 20 years. In the past, contributing to business results mainly meant creating promotions that boosted brand awareness and purchase intent. However, I believe it has now become crucial to improve the entire customer journey, including designing elements such as organizational structure and human resources to provide a better customer experience. This is particularly true to brands dealing with intangible assets such as financial institutions. Employees are a crucial element in the customer experience. To that end, it is important to cultivate a brand culture and ensure that employees understand and reflect the company's purpose and corporate philosophy in their actions.
And how has the Mizuho brand evolved over the last 20 years? What do you consider to be the key points in the journey, as well as the current challenges and opportunities?
Well, about 20 years ago, the Mizuho brand was created through the merger of 3 leading Japanese banks with a global presence. Interestingly, in 1989, all 3 predecessor banks of Mizuho were ranked among the top 5 companies in the world by market capitalization. As I mentioned earlier, Mizuho traces its roots back to the establishment of Japan's first ever bank, the First National Bank, over 150 years ago. And the founder of the bank, Eiichi Shibusawa, believed strongly in the integration of morality and economic activity. This philosophy continues to be a part of our corporate DNA today. In this context, 2 years ago, in preparation for a new medium-term management plan, we revised our corporate philosophy and brand slogan and newly established our corporate purpose based on our DNA. As our employees gain a deeper understanding of the corporate philosophy, internalize it, and reflect it in their day-to-day actions, we are starting to see personal growth, which in turn is leading to new innovations in the workplace and for our customers.
And are there any particularly successful campaigns for Mizuho that stand out for you over this period?
Yeah. One good example is an internal and external brand campaign that we implemented to coincide with the issuance of the redesigned 10,000 yen note, the highest denomination in Japan last year. The portrait of Eiichi Shibusawa, known as the father of Japanese capitalism, was adopted as the primary design element on the banknote. In his lifetime, Shibusawa advocated for the coexistence of morality and economic activity, and made a significant contribution to the social development of Japan through finance and entrepreneurial efforts. Mizuho has a particular affinity with Shibusawa, as he founded the very first bank in Japan in 1873, to which we trace our corporate roots. The internal aspect of the campaign was centered around revamping our internal award program to focus on initiatives that embody Mizuho's corporate philosophy and values, which are aligned with Shibusawa's ideas, and the subsequent internal promotion of the awards. Winners of the top prize were then featured in the external campaign. These real-life employees spoke about how they embodied the spirit of Shibusawa's thinking in their day-to-day work, emphasizing how Mizuho's DNA remains just as relevant today as some 150 years ago. The fact that we used actual employees, instead of actors, added a level of authenticity to the campaign. The new banknote issuance was unsurprisingly widely covered in the news and other media, so we were able to leverage that public interest in our own campaign. As a result of the campaign's good reaction externally, employees felt a renewed sense of pride in working for Mizuho. And this, in turn, enhanced employees' awareness and understanding of the corporate philosophy, helping it to become further embedded within the company. So we managed to achieve a really good brand synergy between the internal and the external aspects of the campaign.
And finally, thinking about the future, we know that consumer behaviour is always evolving. What current trends do you think brands need to pay the most attention to for the future? What are the implications for marketing within the banking sector and for the marketing industry more generally?
In today's world, where an overwhelming amount of information is available, people tend to block out content they are not interested in and increasingly focus on what they like. In my view, this trend is even more noticeable in Japan. In Japan, the trend of oshikatsu, which refers to supporting and organically promoting one's favorite artists, idols, fictional characters, or mascots in various ways. This trend is on the rise, and the amount of spending on oshikatsu is increasing year by year. In a sense, this trend focuses people's attention and spending on what they like, which means that it has become difficult for financial institutions like ours to capture people's attention just by sharing information or messages the way we used to. Therefore, it is becoming increasingly important to consider, how to engage with these fan communities. Instead of utilizing them as influencer marketing, an approach that involves supporting the artists and athletes together with the fans, elevating, shared sentiments, and gaining empathy for the brand through sympathetic communication is required.
Well, Natsumi, we've learned so much about Mizuho today. Thank you so much for your time.